So in this video, we're going to go over how to use the new inspection report module in PestPack. Now, an inspection report, otherwise known as a condition report or maybe a conducive report, is basically a list of things that you want to convey to the customer that are important for them to know, such as pest findings, conducive conditions, materials you've used, and then tech notes, and then you can also do attachments like photos or videos. It's a very powerful tool, and it's actually very easy to use, and we're going to go over that and kind of see how the thing works. Now, the first thing we do when we go to open our job is we start it, and then we are going to see the activities button down here, which we're just going to click on. Now, what this is a list of areas that are available on this residence. Now, let's not get too deep into it quite yet. I kind of want to talk about all these icons and what they mean. This here is the areas, the area function for this particular customer's location. So you'll see you'll have various options here. You have the house, the pool house, the shed, the yard area. Of course, not every location is going to have all these types of areas. And that's okay because it's only going to show the ones that you select. Now, before we get into that, let's look at these top icons here. We have materials, we have pest findings, conditions, tech comments, and documents where you can attach various things. Now, I want to draw your attention to the lower right corner. You'll see this icon here, the little I don't know what you'd call it. This is where you'd have a summary of existing materials and existing conditions that you've already inputted for this location. This is a great tool in case a different technician has to come and service a location. They can still see the history and what needs to be done. Now, right now, this is the first time we're servicing this customer, so you'll see there is no summary in there yet. Let's go back to the areas part. And what we're going to do is we're going to select an area that has some pest findings, has some conducive conditions, and we're going to treat it, and we're going to tell the customer what type of materials we're using, and we'll add some comments along the way as well. So we're just going to do the main house. So I'm going to click on house, that's right in the middle here. This is going to bring me down further into the list. Now you'll notice it says location and then house, and then I can select exterior, garage, interior, or windows. Now we're going to talk about the interior where I treat it first. So we're going to select interior. And I can stop here if I just want to be general and just put materials listed just for the interior of the house. If I want to get very specific, I can drill down further and select dining room, family room, etc., etc. If you were to go into, say, the kitchen, you get further options here, the cupboard, the pantry, under the sink, etc., etc. I'm just going to go back into interior because I'm just going to add some things that are specific to the interior of the house and not necessarily specific to the kitchen. Now, one thing you'll notice is that where it says kitchen, it's highlighted it with a color there, so I can kind of backtrack and know where I've been within this collection of areas. So you can always kind of find out where you were. That way you don't get kind of lost in this maze of different areas in the house. So moving over, I'm going to go to my material section. And I want to point out that when I moved over there, if you look under the word activities, it says interior. So all the changes or all the additions I'm adding right now are going to be specific to the interior of the house. You can always go back later and select a different area to give more detail to the customer. So I'm going to click on the plus button right here. This is going to show me groups and my favorites. So I'm going to select pest control. I'm going to select Essentia IC3, and then I'm going to start adding all the materials here. So I'm going to do 4 ounces. I got to change it from gallons to ounces, fluid ounces that is. I'm going to select the maximum concentration. Under application information, you can select the target pest, which area you are targeting, which is already filled. As you can see, it says interior, so I don't really need to change that if I don't want to. Then I can add a comment, or if I want to press the plus button here, I can select from some pre-made comments. So I'll say treat it all problem areas. Moving down, oops, excuse me. Moving down some more, I can select an application method. I'll say cracks and crevice. You can add a lot number if you so choose. Equipment. And a rate of application. In this case, I'm going to select gallons since it is diluted. You also have some optional weather conditions here. I'm going to skip over that for right now. And with all this done, I'm just going to go ahead and save it. So you'll see in the interior, I've now added the Essentia IC3 to my list of activities. Now let's say I want to tell the customer I saw some pest findings. Again, just click the add button, select the category, and then select the particular pest that you want to put on your report. In this case, we'll say roaches. And that's going to bring us to the roaches screen here. Right now, it is auto-selected to captured. That means if I want to tell the customer I caught 25 roaches, that's fine. But let's say I'm not really catching roaches. I may have sighted roaches, or I may have found evidence of roaches. For the evidence, you select the drop-down menu, and there's a number of options here. I'm going to say that I found just some dead insects or dead roaches. I'm going to go ahead and save that. So now on my report, it says dead roaches or dead insects / roaches. Let's talk about conditions. Just adding the plus button here. There's a number of groups here. I'm going to select food sources. And then I can say food sources again. Now I have some options underneath that. Who is responsible for the food sources? I should say who is responsible for correcting this. I'm going to say the customer is. I'm going to say this is high priority because there's a lot of food sources around the house. I have all these auto-filled. You can change them. And you can modify this if you so feel it is appropriate. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now I have food sources in the interior of the house noted on the report. Let's move along to comments. Now I believe you can only add one tech comment per area in the house. So I'm going to add one comment for the interior of the house. And you can save that. Now you can also save this as a favorite in case this is a comment you want to use frequently just by clicking on the star button. And then add as a favorite. But I'm going to go ahead and save this onto this report. And now this will print out on the report. Now here I can take a photo if I want to. Got to give it a name. and then just take a photo. Now you've taken the photo, but you want to make sure it gets emailed to the customer along with the report, so you have to check the box. So let's review what we've done so far. We're in the interior of the house. We've used the Centria IC3, 4 fluid ounces. We've identified some dead roaches. We've said there's food sources that need to be cleaned up. I've added a comment. I've taken a photo, and I've checked the box to make sure it is attached so it'll be included along with the report. Now let's do something for the exterior. You can go down the breadcrumb here. We go to house, locations. That has brought me back to just the general area section of this, this report. Now I want to talk about the exterior of the house. So I'm going to go back to house. I'm going to select exterior. And this time I want to talk specifically about the perimeter of the house, which I'm treating. So you'll see that breadcrumb right there, house exterior perimeter. That means we're going to be adding new information that is specific to the perimeter of the house. I'm going to say I'm going to treat with a Centria again. I'm going to actually use 8 fluid ounces. Maximum concentration. Again, I'm already in the perimeter of the house section, so you can see the area is already already filled in there. I'm going to put in a target pest. I'm going to say roaches, but let's do ants, silverfish, and spiders as well. That way they'll all be listed there. And I can add a comment if I wanted to, but in this case I'm going to skip that. I'm just going to fill in a few things here, skip weather conditions, and I'm going to save it. I'll add some more pest findings. Let's say I want to tell the customer I'm seeing termite activity. So I'm going to select termites, termites again, evidence, and I'm going to say I saw, let's see, shelter tubes or mud penetration. I'll go ahead and save that. Conditions. Now we're at the exterior of the house, so you're probably going to see more conditions on the outside of the house that need to be treated. You have tree branches touching the roof. Medium priority. Customer is responsible. And it just tells them to trim it back because you might have, for example, rodent traffic. Let's add some more. Wood to soil contact. And let's do another one. And I'll do medium priority. All right, so in this case, I've added 3 different types of conditions. Oops, let me back up a bit. I'm in tech comments, but I want to use one of my favorites because I don't want to have to retype things every single time. So I'll say, thanks for all your help. And I'm going to save that. Let's say I want to add another photo. And I want to include that on the report as well. So going back all the way, oops. We've got some activity in the house, exterior, interior, etc., etc. Now you can always review what you've just done or what's been done in the past by again clicking on the summary icon in the lower right corner. Select materials or conditions, and you'll see all the information that we just entered. Condition summary, everything on the perimeter of the house and the interior of the house. Now the thing that's important about this condition summary, and the reason you want to check it every time you go to a house to see if there's any existing conditions that need to be resolved, is that you can go here and you can mark them as resolved or still open, meaning there's still an issue. So let's say you went back to this house at a later date, you opened up the summary and you see, hey, last time I was here, the tree branches were touching the house. Well, you want to go ahead and see, are those tree branches still touching the house? No, the customer has trimmed those back, so it's not an issue anymore. So you can mark it as resolved and hit save. What that's going to do is it's going to remove it from the report. So when you send the report again, it will not be noted there anymore. You go back again, the food sources are gone. Mark it as resolved, hit save. Now you might be wondering, well, how do I email this to the customer? Well, once you have all your information in there, you can check and see, well, what's going to be on the report. Just making sure they're all open. The resolved ones will not be on the report. You hit done. Go through this process. Mark it as complete. And here you can email the report to the customer by clicking the email report, selecting the email address, and you'll see here you'll have those two photos that are going to be included along with the attachment. You can select different email report settings. I just say use default and then hit send. So what's going to happen now is that the PestPack server is going to send that to the customer, and you'll be able to review that with them and make sure that they understand what you are sending them. I do believe it is important that you have that conversation with the customer, because most people don't read emails unless you make it a point to bring it to their attention. So this should have everything you need. If you have questions about it, you can always come to me, Shay, or Chris. We'll be happy to help you out. But this is pretty straightforward. I'd say we should set up a few test accounts, play with this, email it to yourself, see what it looks like, and then you can get a little more experience.